got to say, that's the last time I make a positive prediction. Every single time I make one, the result always seems to go the opposite way. Hi there guys, and welcome back to a brand new match review here on the channel. My name is James, and today we're going to go ahead and sit down and talk to you guys about Reading's heavy 3-0 home defeat to Blackpool. It was the game of nude school versus old school in management. It was Steve Bruce's 1051st game in management, whereas it was Noel Hunt's 10th. And it was the old school that came out on top. The experience of Steve Bruce and this Blackpool side definitely paid virtue as they defeated Reading by 3-0 at the Select Car Leasing Stadium. By the time it was half-time, it was 2-0 to Blackpool, and realistically, Reading never looked like threatening Blackpool too much. Now, I've got to say, there was a couple of decisions in this fixture where I thought Reading should have had a penalty. We'll touch on them when we talk about the fixture itself, but overall, Blackpool probably deserved the result, if I'm being completely honest. They created the more opportunities, they created the more chances, and realistically they were more clear-cut chances than the ones that Reading had. Now, in terms of the starting 11 for this fixture, we saw Joel Pereira in goal, Andre Garcia, Tyler Bindon, Amadou Mbengue and Michael Craig made up the back four. Charlie Savage, Lewis Wing and Ben Elliott were the three in the middle, while we saw Harvey Nibbs and Chem Campbell out wide. Finally, the man up front was Sam Smith. Now, like we said, Reading really should have had a couple of decisions go their way, but whilst it was still 0-0, Reading had a massive opportunity to make it 1-0, and Harvey Nibbs fluffed his lines. At 0-0, the game could have been completely different. It really could have been 1-0 to Reading. Reading took a quick corner, and it found its way eventually out to Lewis Wing. Lewis Wing played a ball across not the front of the 6-yard box, because it came in from the top of the box, if that makes sense, from the top corner of the box. He's whipped it round. It's missed all the Blackpool players. It's come to Harvey Nibbs in the middle of the goal, and look, the ball was spinning, but he's blazed it over the crossbar, and that was Reading's best opportunity of the game. Just 5-10 minutes later, Blackpool had their chance. It came when Albie Morgan took a strike from long range, about 20-25 yards out, and it was a fantastic strike. Went into the bottom left-hand corner. No way Joel Pereira was getting there. He dove down to his right-hand side, but was unable to get to it. I've got to say, it was a good finish from the Blackpool man. After that, Blackpool had another opportunity to make it, 2-0 at that point. Ashley Fletcher from a header from a cross. Again, it was a good save by Joel Pereira, who tipped it onto the post. Blackpool, though, did eventually make it 2-0 when Robert Apter was the man who scored. I've got to say, down that right-hand side, Robert Apter was absolutely having 17-year-old Andre Garcia on toast every single time. I've got to say, Garcia was out of position for the majority of this fixture, and the pace of Robert Apter really saw Andre Garcia struggle. I've got to say, when you see Jarrell Dorset playing at left back, he's someone that defensively gives Reading a bit more solidarity. Whereas when you've got Andre Garcia, he's the man that's going to be thinking about going forward. Well, this arguably was the worst option today, as Andre Garcia, for me, was the worst performing player today. It's not me singling anyone out, and I don't want to be someone that's going to criticise players too much, but I just thought he had a really poor game. And yes, he is 17 years old, so I don't want to batter him too bad in terms of his confidence, but he is a professional football player as well. So I do think I am allowed to give my opinion. I think he had a really poor fixture today. Like I said, Robert Apter was the man who scored. It was a save from Joel Pereira, which saw it go back into danger. And eventually it was Robert Apter that ended up putting it in the back of the net. I think Andre Garcia had a chance to clear the ball as well. I'm not too sure. He was a little bit stationary. It was down the other end from where I am. But look, it was poor defensive work again from Reading. And look, we were 2-0 down. Reading did have an opportunity to have a penalty, if I'm being completely honest. Michael Craig, with a little darting run into the box, saw the ball drop down to him, and he went to strike the ball on the volley. But as he struck the ball, a Blackpool man's got in front of him. And I don't know if Michael Craig's ended up not having the strike because he's ended up hitting the Blackpool man. But I thought an opportunity for a penalty arose there. Referee didn't give anything. Half-time saw a substitution for Reading as Amadou Mbengue at the end of the first half really went down with a bad knock. He was down for about 5 minutes. A stretcher had to be called over, but in typical Amadou Mbengue fashion, he got back up and limped away. But it was bad enough for him to be taken off at half-time as we saw Louis Holtzman replace him. After half-time, running out another massive penalty shout. It came when Harvey Nibbs was dragged down inside the box. Nibbs went down a little bit early, but I do think it was a penalty nonetheless. Noel Hunt thought it was a penalty. According to Noel Hunt, the fourth official thought it was a penalty, and also Steve Bruce thought it was a penalty. But the only man on the pitch that didn't think it was the referee in charge today. And unfortunately, once again, the referees got the decision wrong. Reading weren't given a penalty, and just a couple of minutes later, Blackpool had a chance up the other end. It came from a free kick, which really, in my opinion, probably wasn't a free kick. Ashley Fletcher's kind of just dove over a leg of a Reading man. He was waiting for the contact and kind of just fell down like he'd been shot in the stands. He's ended up winning a free kick, and again, another whipped low cross came in. This time it was from Blackpool, but it just missed every player. Blackpool did eventually, though, make it 3-0, and it was that man, Ashley Fletcher, who got the goal. It was the 72nd minute when he converted down the right-hand side for Blackpool, and Andre Garcia's left-hand side. They got the ball and they ended up winning it inside of the box for Reading. Eventually saw them run across. A ball was cut across in the 6-yard box, and Ashley Fletcher converted easily. It's 3-0 to Blackpool, and really in the second half, Reading struggled to make any massive chances. I've got to say, for the majority of the fixture, Reading really played a lot of long balls, and it's something that I was a little bit disappointed in. I'm not going to sit here and criticise again too much, as look, the Noel Hunt era has only just begun, and he's still a young, very inexperienced manager, and we saw this with Ruben Celes in the past. Listen, young, inexperienced managers are going to make mistakes on their way to finding success, and look, the long ball system didn't work again for Reading today. A lot of them were played against Wickham, and it seemed to work a little bit more against Wickham. Reading had a much better performance in that fixture than they did today against Blackpool. Wickham arguably a better opposition than Blackpool, yet we played better in that one and worse in this game. At the end of the day, it swings and roundabouts, and teams always will have these performances where they look worse. Today just wasn't Reading's day, unfortunately, and it was a very good performance and good result for Blackpool on the road. Now, in terms of league positions, this doesn't change anything for Reading. We're still sat in 6th right now, as we saw the rest of the teams all around us not have great results. Reading sit on 31 points with 19 matches played, 9 wins, 4 draws, and now 6 losses for the season. End of the day, it is what it is. Reading are in the playoffs. I don't expect to stay in the playoffs for too much longer. As long as Reading can survive for this season, which honestly now at this point is my aim, I will be happy. That's going to be it for this one today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. My name's been James, and we'll see you all again very soon. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.